You ever look at a woman who's already taken and feel like something's off? She laughs a little too much at your jokes. She finds reasons to accidentally bump into you. And when she talks to you, her voice drops, softens, becomes different. You're not imagining it. You're not crazy. You're just noticing what most men ignore, the silent, forbidden signs of attraction. In this video, we're going deeper than casual flirting. We're stepping into the psychological shadows, those moments when a woman's actions speak louder than her words, especially when she says, "I have a boyfriend." But behind that sentence, there might be 1,000 unspoken things she won't say out loud. And the truth is, even women in relationships can be drawn to other men quietly, subtly, emotionally. This isn't about chasing someone else's girl. It's about recognizing the signs. Because the more you understand female psychology, the more powerful, grounded, and aware you become, no just with women, but with yourself. And let's be honest, some of these signs are so subtle, so coded, you'll miss them unless someone shows you how to see. So if you've ever had a woman act one way in public and another when it's just you two, if you've ever wondered why she keeps popping up around you, acting differently, giving you that look, then stay close, because today we're going to break down 10 forbidden signs she's secretly into you, even if she's taken. Let's begin. Sign number 1, her voice becomes softer around you. You might not even notice it at first. You're talking to her in a group, everything's casual, she's laughing loud, full energy. But then when it's just the two of you, something changes. Her voice drops, the pitch softens, and suddenly the space between her words feels different. Now, this isn't about her being polite or professional. This is about instinct. See, when a woman is around someone she's secretly drawn to, her entire nervous system shifts. And one of the clearest tells, her voice. It becomes warmer, quieter, more intimate. Why? Because lowering her voice is her way of pulling you in. It's biological. Evolutionary psychology explains that softer vocal tones in women are subconsciously perceived by men as more feminine, more inviting. And women, especially when attracted, know how powerful that tool is, even if they don't realize they're using it. But here's the kicker: Shay doesn't use that voice with everyone, only with you. And that's the point. It's not the same voice she uses with her co-workers, her friends, or even her boyfriend. It's softer, more careful. There's a hidden current in it, like she's letting her guard down just a little, without fully admitting it. She'll speak slower, almost hesitant at times, as if weighing her words. Not because she's unsure, but because she's present. She's tuned in to you. And that attention is not casual, it's emotional real estate. She's giving you space in her mind, even if her reality says she shouldn't. Stoic men understand this. They don't chase the obvious. They watch the details, because attraction doesn't always scream, it whispers. Now, don't confuse this with shyness or insecurity. That's a trap. Some women are naturally quiet, sure. But what you're listening for is contrast. Does her voice shift around you? Compare how she talks to others and how she talks to you. Is there a tone of softness, playfulness, or intimacy she reserves just for your ears? If yes, then you've stepped into her private emotional space, even if the rest of the world sees her as taken. And here's something most men miss. When a woman is emotionally unavailable or taken but still lowers her guard like that, she's sending a signal she won't say out loud. She's not looking for you to react or confess anything. She's testing the energy. She's seeing how you hold the moment. Will you rush in and try to turn the heat up too soon? Or will you hold the tension, steady and unshaken, like a man who's seen this dance before? A stoic man never fumbles that silence. He reads between the lines, listens to the energy, and holds his own. Because it's not just about what she says, it's about how she sounds when she says it. And that softness, that's the sound of a boundary quietly bending. Not broken, not crossed, but bending for you. So next time her voice changes around you, don't ignore it. Don't get flattered and rush in with flirty banter. Let it land. Let her feel the space she just created. Let her know without words that you noticed and you're not moved by it. That's power. That's presence. That's stoic. Now, let me hear from you. Comment, I hear her tone. Because the men who learn to hear beneath the surface, they don't just get attention, they command it. And if you thought her voice said a lot, wait until you see what her body does when she thinks you're not watching. But we'll get to that. Stay with me. Sign number 2. She makes subtle changes to her appearance. You don't need a magnifying glass to see this, but you do need to be awake. Most men miss it. She shows up one day with her hair done just a little differently, a touch more gloss on her lips, a new perfume that seems to linger longer around you. Tiny details. Nothing loud. Nothing she'll ever admit was for you. But it is. Here's the truth most guys ignore. When a woman is secretly drawn to you, especially when she's not supposed to be, she won't announce it with words. That would threaten her position, her relationship, or the story she's telling herself. So what does she do? She lets her appearance do the whispering. Maybe it's a top that shows a little more collarbone when she knows she'll see you. Maybe it's earrings that dangle and move when she talks because she knows movement draws the eye. Or maybe it's something you wouldn't even pick up on unless you were looking carefully. Freshly done nails, a more delicate necklace, a lipstick shade that says, I want to be noticed, but not by everyone. Here's the stoic truth. Attention is currency, and a woman only spends it where she wants a return. So when she's investing time, effort, and aesthetic shifts in your direction, especially when she's taken, that's not just fashion. That's strategy masked as spontaneity. Why subtle? Because subtle doesn't confess. Subtle says, I'm not doing anything wrong. Subtle gives her deniability, and that's what makes it so powerful. You might hear her say, I just felt like doing something new. Or, I saw this shade and thought it was fun. But ask your why now. Why the change today? Why the scent that hits you the second she walks in the room? Why the earrings that match your compliments from last week? Women don't just try something new around men they're indifferent to. And if you're in a long-distance connection or forbidden dynamic, these visual cues become even louder. In the absence of touch, look is everything. So she'll amplify the visual language not to grab you outright, but to keep your eyes just long enough, to hold your focus in a way that makes you wonder, is this for me? Yes, it is. But don't say that out loud. That breaks the game. Stoicism isn't about being cold. It's about being clear. And when you see these changes, you don't react with compliments or flattery. You notice, you file it, and you maintain your center. Because your awareness is power and your restraint makes her try harder. Now, let's go deeper. Psychologically, this is tied to what's called mate signaling behavior. When a woman is biologically or emotionally drawn to a man, her body prepares. Subconsciously, she'll optimize her fertility signal 7 in platonic or forbidden contexts. That doesn't mean she wants to sleep with you tomorrow, but it does mean her instincts are speaking louder than her logic. And that internal tug of war, that's where attraction simmers. So if you see her showing up more put together around you than around others, take note. If she asks your opinion on how something looks on her, she's not just being curious, she's measuring how her changes land on your radar. That's not fashion. That's flirtation dressed in casual fabric. But again, the stoic man doesn't rush in. He watches, he holds, he becomes the mirror she subtly dresses for but never admits to. And in doing that, he controls the polarity of the room. Because here's the truth. When a woman changes her appearance for you without ever saying it, you've already entered her thoughts. And the moment you show her that you see it but don't need it, you've taken control of the dynamic. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed those quiet upgrades? Comment, I see the shift. Because awareness isn't just power, it's seduction in silence. And while she might change her look, what happens when she starts changing who she is around you? Stay locked in. That's next. Sign number 3. She finds ways to be near you. Let's make one thing clear: proximity is never random. When a woman is secretly drawn to you, especially one who's already in a relationship, her physical closeness is never just coincidence. She may never touch you, she might never even flirt outright, but she'll orbit you, linger near you, insert herself into your space, even if it's just for a moment. It's subtle, strategic, and 100% intentional. Maybe she always ends up sitting across from you in a group setting. Maybe she accidentally shows up where you are, same cafe, same hallway, same meeting. Or maybe she hovers just close enough to feel your energy, to hear your voice, to be in your peripheral awareness. This is female psychology at work, and it's one of the most powerful signs a woman is into you without saying a word. She doesn't need to touch, she doesn't need to speak, she just needs to be close. Why? Because proximity is presence, and presence is pressure. When a woman is near you physically, she feels your energy. She observes how you move, how you speak, how others respond to you. She doesn't want to miss anything. She wants to feel the charge without crossing the line. It's what we call in Stoicism the edge of the boundary, where attraction exists without declaration and temptation dances just outside of action. Now, let's be clear. This doesn't always look like seduction. Sometimes it's disguised as friendliness, curiosity, even coincidence. But when it keeps happening, when it's pattern not accident, that's when you need to wake up. A woman who's already involved will rarely act directly, but her body will do the work. Her presence will communicate what her mouth won't say. It's in how she leans in when you speak. How she doesn't just walk past you, she slows, she pauses, she's available, even when she's not. You'll notice this most when you try to detach. When you're cool, grounded, not chasing suddenly, she's in your space more often. That's not random. That's gravity. And the smarter the woman, the more casual it will look. She won't make a scene. She'll just be there. Enough for you to notice, not enough for her to admit. Now, let's go deeper. This behavior is linked to something called environmental control. When a woman is drawn to a man, she wants to stay within his sensory field where she can influence, observe, and feel the emotional tension. She may not even consciously know why she's doing it, but the pull is real. And here's the Stoic part of the equation. You don't chase it. You don't react. You let her orbit. You stay unmoved. Because when you hold your ground, she feels it more. She questions why she's being pulled toward you. And those questions amplify desire. Remember, presence isn't pursuit. Just because she's near you doesn't mean you jump in. A Stoic man sees the sign for what it is, a signal of interest layered in denial. So what do? Nothing, at least not outwardly. Internally, you take note. You become sharper, more deliberate. You speak less but say more. You let your presence create weight in the room. Let her feel your self-possession. Because the moment she feels like you don't need her but she can't escape your presence, that's when the game shifts. And if she starts initiating these proximity moments, sitting closer, lingering longer, laughing a little louder around you, it's time to recognize what's unfolding. She wants to be near the fire, but she's afraid to get burned. Let her stay there. Let her feel it. That tension, that's where her mind starts racing. Now ask yourself, have you noticed a woman choosing to be in your space without saying why? Comment below. I feel her orbit. Because the next sign goes even deeper: what she starts doing with her attention when you're around. And trust me, it's no accident. Sign number 4. Subtle physical touches. Let's not pretend subtlety isn't strategy. When a woman lightly touches your arm, brushes past you a little too close, or lets her hand linger for just a second longer than necessary, it's not an accident. It's not clumsiness, it's communication. A language that's felt, not spoken. Especially if she's already in a relationship, physical touch becomes her most dangerous form of expression. Why? Because it's deniable. She can always say, "Oh, sorry," or "didn't mean to." But if you're paying attention, you know what's happening. The truth is, women understand the power of touch far more than most men give them credit for. It's not about the touch itself, it's about how it makes you feel. Because here's what most men miss. Subtle touches trigger the brain's oxytocin response. That's the chemical responsible for connection, closeness, and emotional bonding. Even a quick graze of the fingertips can light that fuse, and she knows it. Maybe not scientifically, but intuitively. If she's touching you casually but consistently, especially in public or in front of other people, that's a sign she's crossing an emotional line. She may still call you a friend, but her body is making moves her words won't dare to admit. Think back, how many times has she fixed your collar or lint on your shirt, greeted you with a hug that lingered half a second too long, touched your shoulder mid-conversation, even when it wasn't necessary, playfully nudged you or leaned in close just to laugh? None of that is meaningless. These small, calculated moments of physical contact serve a deeper purpose. She wants to create a spark without lighting a fire. She wants to feel something but not face the consequences. So she makes the move small enough to hide behind, but potent enough for you to notice. Here's where the Stoic mindset kicks in. You don't flinch, you don't chase the touch, you don't escalate, you observe, you register it, but stay grounded. Why? Because that unshakable presence makes the touch hit harder. If you're reactive, the moment dissolves into ordinary. But if you remain composed, your restraint adds tension. You become the fire that doesn't burn on demand. She may even test your boundaries further once she sees you're not taking the bait. Maybe she gets bolder. Maybe she starts using touch to see just how far she can go. This is where your awareness matters more than your desire. A woman in a relationship who initiates physical touch with another man is playing with fire, and she knows it. But she's counting on you not knowing what to do with that signal. Most guys either lean in or pull away. Few hold the line with calm power. And this is where attraction deepens. Because when you stay composed, when you allow her to express without judgment, you become a mirror. She sees her own conflict reflected in you, and that makes you magnetic. Let's get even more real. Sometimes these touches come with mixed signals. One day she's warm, the next she's distant. That inconsistency isn't confusion, it's fear. She's torn between what she feels and what she should feel, between her current relationship and the connection that's forming between you. So don't seek clarity through confrontation. Let the signs reveal themselves. The truth always surfaces when you stop digging and start watching. In some cases she'll escalate, in others she'll retreat. But either way, your job isn't to control her choices. Your job is to maintain self-control. That's where your value lies, not in how fast you can respond, but in how little her games can shake you. Now, ask yourself this. Has she found little ways to touch you lately, accidental or not? If yes, drop a comment below. I feel the signal. That's all you need to say. You're not chasing, you're just aware. And that awareness, that's what sets you apart. Because in the next sign, things move from physical to digital. And what she posts isn't always meant for everyone. Sign number 5. She acts differently around you. Let's talk about energy, because that's where everything begins. When a woman is secretly into you, especially one who's already in a relationship, the most telling sign often isn't what she says. It's how her energy shifts the moment you walk into the room. People are creatures of pattern. We behave consistent until something or someone disrupts that pattern. You, my friend, are that disruption. Now watch this. She's loud and playful with others. But when you're around, suddenly she's quieter, more composed. Or the opposite, she's usually shy, But with you, she's bold, teasing, engaging. Either way, the shift is what matters, because that shift is where attraction hides. Here's what's happening. Her body and mind are at war. Her logic is saying, I shouldn't be feeling this, while her emotions are screaming, but I am. That internal friction bleeds into her behavior. It creates inconsistency, and that inconsistency is where you read between the lines. Maybe she fidgets more when she's near you. Maybe she talks faster or slower. Maybe she tries harder to appear unbothered. That's the key word, tries. See, when a woman is comfortable around someone, her behavior is effortless. But when she's into you and trying not to show it, her entire presence becomes more controlled. She thinks she's masking her emotions, but the very act of trying to mask them makes them obvious. There's something else you need to pay attention to. Comparison. Start noticing how she treats you differently from other men. Does she laugh more at your jokes, get more serious in your presence, become more careful with her words, or more playful with her eyes? That contrast between how she is with others and how she is with you is where the truth lives. Women don't always say, I like you, but they show it in how they adjust. And if she's adjusting her energy, her voice, or her reactions around you, it's because you matter more than she wants you to know. Here's the Stoic move. Don't try to decode every moment like it's a puzzle. Observe, but don't obsess. Pay attention, but don't chase affirmation. Your power comes from being aware, not from needing to act on every signal. Why? Because when a woman knows you see her shift but you're not using it against her, it creates respect. You're not another guy trying to exploit her interest. You're someone who understands restraint. And that restraint, it's rare, it's masculine, it's attractive. Let's talk about a real-world example. You're at a social event. She's there with her partner. She's polite with others, distant with most. But when she greets you, there's a pause, a moment of too long eye contact. Her smile is softer, her tone is lighter. Maybe her partner notices and she pulls back, but it's too late. That little moment was real, and both of you felt it. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe she avoids you at first, stays on the other side of the room, but then, slowly, starts orbiting closer. Not too close, just close enough to make sure she's within your line of sight. This isn't coincidence, it's tension. It's her inner world reacting to your presence. And you don't need a confession to know something is happening. You can feel it. That's where we come back to your posture, your energy. Because how you handle her change in behavior determines what happens next. Do you mirror her nervousness, or do you hold steady, grounded, calm? A woman will test your stability before she ever tests your interest. She wants to know, can you remain composed, even when the signal is confusing? That's the game. And if you play it right, without playing dirty, you become unforgettable. Now, I want to hear from you. If you've seen her energy shift around you, comment below. I felt the switch. Say nothing more. That's your confirmation. You're reading the signs. And speaking of signs, wait until you hear what she's really trying to tell you when she talks about other men. Sign number 6. Her eyes tell the truth. Let's drop all the guessing games for a second, because when it comes to attraction, the eyes don't lie. A woman can control her words. She can manage her tone. She can even keep her body language guarded. But her eyes will give her away every single time. Why? Because the eyes are directly connected to emotion. Neurologically, they bypass filters, microreactions, pupils dilating, darting glances, prolonged stress. Aren't conscious choices. They're instinctive. And when she's into you, those instincts will betray what her words are trying to conceal. Let's start with prolonged eye contact. This is the classic one. You catch her looking, and instead of quickly looking away, she holds your gaze for just a beat too long. That beat is everything. It's the moment where time feels like it slows down, and something silent passes between the two of you. If she didn't feel something, she'd look away without hesitation. But if she holds it, even for a second longer than normal, you've felt it, so has she. Now, contrast that with the quick glance and snap away. This one's trickier. She looks, gets caught, and immediately turns away like she wasn't watching. But here's the truth. That reaction is a signal. She's not disinterested, she's nervous to get caught. That's often even stronger than confident eye contact, because it shows she's emotionally invested enough to care how she's perceived. Also, pay attention to repeated glances. If you notice her looking at you again and again throughout a conversation, even from across the room, that's not random, that's not habit, that's intentional. She's tracking you. She's placing you at the center of her awareness, and she doesn't even realize she's doing it. Now, let's take this deeper. There's something called eye aversion in psychology. When a person finds someone attractive but doesn't want to appear too obvious, they look everywhere except your eyes. They'll focus on your mouth, your hands, your chest, anywhere but direct eye contact. It's a defense mechanism, and ironically, it's just as revealing. A woman might be laughing at your jokes, leaning in closer, but avoiding your eyes completely. That's not disinterest, that's tension. That's her inner world saying, "I'm drawn to you, but I don't know what to do about it." No. Now here's the subtle power move. Don't chase her gaze. You don't need to meet her eye every time she looks. In fact, sometimes letting her look at you when you're not looking back builds more tension. It creates that internal pull, the one where she's wondering, does he notice me? Does he feel this too? Stoicism teaches us not to react impulsively, not to get caught up in desire or flattery. So apply that. Let your awareness be your advantage. You see her eyes, you feel the tension, but you stay grounded. That composure, that restraint, it builds mystique. It makes her wonder. And the more she wonders, the more she returns to you. Now let's get practical. Imagine you're talking to her in a group setting. Other people are speaking. The energy is casual. And out of nowhere, you feel her eyes on you. Not the polite glance, the gaze. The kind of look that feels like a question, or a challenge, or an invitation. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to say a word. Just absorb it, register it. Let it sit in the space between you. Because that moment, that unspoken exchange is louder than anything she could say out loud. And if you catch her looking when she thinks you're not paying attention, that's gold. That's her guard down. That's the truth slipping out from behind the wall she's trying to keep up. Remember, her voice might lie, her words might deny, but her eyes don't know how to fake disinterest, not for long. So the next time you're near her, look less at what she's saying and more at what her eyes are doing when she's not talking. That's where the real conversation is happening. Now let me hear from you. If her eyes ever said more than her words, drop a comment. I saw the truth. And speaking of hidden truths, the next sign is even more subtle, because it's not about what she does, it's about where she shows up. Sign number 7. She dives into deep questions. There's a moment in every man's interaction with a woman where the tone shifts. It's no longer about the weather, work, or the weekend. Suddenly, she asks something that cuts through the small talk like a blade. What scares you the most about getting older? Or, do you believe people can really change? That moment. That's no accident. When a woman is secretly into you, one of the clearest signs is her need to dig deeper. She doesn't want surface level, she wants substance. Why? Because attraction without emotional curiosity is like fire without oxygen, it fades quickly. When she starts probing your beliefs, your fears, your memories, it's because you've gone from someone she talks to someone she's trying to figure out. And here's the nuance most guys miss. She doesn't always need your answers. Sometimes she already senses who you are. But by asking those questions, she's watching how you answer. Do you hesitate? Do your eyes shift? Do you deflect with humor? She's decoding your emotional depth and seeing if you match the intensity she feels but won't admit. Psychologists call this emotional mirroring. When a woman feels connected or desires intimacy, her brain naturally guides the conversation toward meaningful topics. She's not trying to get to know you like a friend. She's trying to experience you, the real, unfiltered you. Now, let's talk content. What kind of questions are we talking about? It's not just, where do you see yourself in 5 years? That's a resume question. It's more like, what's something you've never told anyone? Do you believe in soulmates? When was the last time someone made you feel really safe? What does love look like to you, not feel like, look like? Those questions aren't coming from boredom. They're coming from a place of emotional investment. And if she's already in a relationship, that makes it louder. Because now she's not just curious about you, she's comparing. Her current partner might check the boxes, but if she's reaching into your mind, into your story, it means she feels a magnetic pull towards something different. And she's trying to justify that to herself through exploration. A woman will rarely say, I'm drawn to you, and I'm emotionally cheating right now. But she will ask, do you ever feel like you're in the wrong relationship, but you don't know how to leave? That's not a casual question. That's a confession dressed as curiosity. So how do you respond? Stoicism teaches us that a man should never react emotionally to what's flattering or tempting. He should observe, think, understand his own position. So when a woman starts diving deep, don't try to impress her. Don't pour your heart out for approval. Sit in that silence. Share only what is true. Speak calmly. Speak slowly. That kind of grounded presence is rare. And to a woman who's emotionally navigating uncertainty, that calm is magnetic. Here's the takeaway. When she starts digging into who you are beneath the surface, when she wants to understand what moves you, what breaks you, what makes you come alive, it's not just interest. It's emotional intimacy in disguise. And it's a sign she's slipping into territory even she might not admit. Have you had a woman ask a question that stopped you in your tracks? Drop it in the comments with, I've been there. Because the next sign, it's not in what she says. It's in who she becomes when she's around you. Sign number 8. Microreactions of jealousy. She might be smiling, laughing, sipping her drink like everything's normal. But then you mention another woman's name and, for just a second, something flickers. Her eyelids tighten, her posture shifts. The smile fades a fraction too fast. She recovers quickly, but you saw it. That right there is a micro-reaction of jealousy. These aren't dramatic outbursts. These aren't scenes. These are the subtle, almost imperceptible signs that give her away. Why? Because when a woman is secretly into you, especially if she's already in a relationship, she can't afford to be obvious. But emotions always find a crack to slip through. Jealousy isn't just about possessiveness. In psychology, it's often a signal of territorial emotion. It flares up when someone feels that something they value, even subconsciously, is at risk of being taken or claimed by someone else. So when she hears you talking warmly about another woman, or sees you get a text and your face lights up, her subconscious gets triggered. She might suddenly get quiet, or playfully tease the woman you mentioned, or ask too many questions that seem casual. Oh, you guys text a lot? Is she cute? She seems to like you. Pay attention here, not just to the words, but to the delivery, the tone, the timing, the energy underneath it. Sometimes she'll even bring up other women first, just to see how you react. So, do you like brunettes? She's totally your type, right? That's not random. That's reconnaissance. Now let's zoom out. If she's taken, these micro-reactions become even more telling. A woman in a committed relationship isn't supposed to care who you're texting, who you're meeting for coffee, or who comments on your Instagram. But if she does, if she notices, and if it subtly bothers her, that means her emotional loyalty is already cracking. Here's the Stoic twist. Don't play into it. Don't try to manipulate her jealousy. Don't provoke her for validation. That's reactive masculinity. It feeds your ego, but weakens your frame. Instead, Observe. Her micro-jealousy is her problem to manage, not your tool to control. If anything, it's confirmation. Something deeper is simmering beneath her composed exterior. The man who can stay calm in the face of these subtle storms becomes magnetic. Why? Because he's not ruled by the desire to be wanted. He lets the truth reveal itself naturally. So next time you catch that tiny pause, the way her eyes flick toward your phone, the faint irritation in her voice when another woman's name slips out, don't ignore it. And don't get excited either. Just see it. Like a Stoic. Let it inform you, not define you. And if you've ever seen that flicker in someone's eyes, drop this in the comments. I noticed the shift, because what comes next? That's when her actions stop pretending. Sign number 9. Her body language speaks louder than words. Sometimes what she says is nothing compared to what her body reveals, especially when she's trying to hide her feelings or hide the fact that she shouldn't have them. So, let's break this down like a Stoic would. No fantasy, just clear perception. Imagine you're talking to her in a group setting. She's nodding at someone else's story, maybe laughing at someone else's joke. But look closer. Her torso is subtly angled toward you. Her knees point in your direction. She touches her neck or wrist when you speak. And when you move, her eyes follow whether or not she realizes it. These aren't grand gestures. They're instinctual, unfiltered. According to nonverbal communication research, a person's body orientation reveals where their emotional interest lies. So even if her words are neutral, if her body is tilting toward you, if her feet are aligned with yours, or her posture softens when you walk in, that's the real conversation. Women are masters at filtering what they say, but the body, that's the part that forgets to lie. Here's a deeper layer. Watch for mirroring. If she subtly mimics your movements, folds her arms when you do, sips her drink after you, crosses her legs the same way, it means her nervous system is syncing with yours. It's called limbic resonance. It's subconscious rapport. And it often shows up when there's attraction she's not ready to admit. Even the smallest cues matter. She might tuck her hair behind her ear when you look at her, or fiddle with her jewelry, or lean in just a little too close when the room doesn't require it. These aren't random tics, they're leaks of emotional tension. And now, for the real test, proximity and touch. Does she find ways to be closer than necessary? Does she accidentally brush against your arm in a crowded hallway? Does she stand just a bit closer than she does with others? That's the kind of body language that says more than her mouth ever will, even when she's supposedly taken, especially when she's trying not to want you. But here's where Stoicism guides you again. Don't read too much into it. Read just enough. Enough to understand what's likely going on beneath the surface, without attaching yourself to the outcome. Why? Because when you become reactive, when you chase based on signals, you give away your power. But when you notice without need, you keep your center, you stay grounded. A Stoic doesn't assume. A Stoic observes. He lets truth prove itself over time, in silence, in movement, in the space between words. If you've ever watched her say one thing but her body said something else entirely, let us know in the comments. I saw the truth move. Because when body language cracks the mask, what happens next isn't denial. It's decision. Sign number 10. She's emotionally invested in you. Here's the truth that most men miss. A woman might hide her desire, but she cannot fake emotional investment. Not for long. When she's into you, really into you, it's not just in her words, or her glances, or the way she leans in close. It's in the emotional weight she puts into your presence. You'll feel it when she checks in on you, not out of obligation, but out of curiosity. You'll notice it in the way she remembers small details you forgot you even shared. She asks how your day went, not just to make conversation, but because she genuinely wants to know. That's emotional investment. That's the giveaway. It's when you become part of her mental landscape. You occupy space in her thoughts without having to chase it. And here's where it gets more subtle. She might ask things like, "Did you sleep well?" or "Have you eaten yet?" Those sound basic, but they're caretaking behaviors. They indicate that your well-being matters to her. When a woman is emotionally invested, she begins to take responsibility not for your life, but for how your emotional state impacts hers. She might worry when you're off. She might get quiet when she senses you're pulling away. And even if she's taken, she'll feel torn. That's the psychology you have to understand. Emotional loyalty often precedes physical action. In fact, for many women, emotional cheating feels worse than physical. So if she's showing you this kind of care while she's supposedly committed elsewhere, pay attention. She might not admit it aloud, but she's emotionally entangled with you. Now, let's get into the Stoic angle. A Stoic doesn't rush to label her feelings. He doesn't ask, "Does she love me?" or "Is this real?" He watches. He tests reality by how consistent her emotions are, not how intense they appear in a moment of vulnerability. Emotional investment shows up through patterns, not just passion. Does she initiate conversations? Does she try to lift your mood when you're down? Does she celebrate your small wins, not just your big ones? These are the things you look for, not drama, not fireworks. And here's something even deeper. When she's emotionally invested, she gets affected by your silence. If you don't reply right away, she starts to second guess. If you sound a little colder than usual, she starts to question what's wrong. You don't need to say much, your energy speaks for itself. She might not say, "I'm into you." She might not flirt. But if she gets upset when you're not as present, if she lights up when you return, if she's asking you questions like, "Why don't you open up more?" then you are no longer just a passing figure in her day. You're emotionally significant. So what do? You don't exploit it. You don't manipulate it. You recognize it and you hold your ground. Emotional power is dangerous when you're unaware of it. But when you're centered, when you're stoic, you create clarity. You don't need to ask for her feelings. You already see them. You don't need to control the situation. You influence it by not being needy, not being reactive, not letting your own emotions get hijacked by hers. She's emotionally invested. That's her truth. Now, the only question that matters is this: what do you want to do with that power? If you've made it this far, you already know her signals aren't always loud. They're quiet, subtle, but if you're paying attention, they speak volumes. This isn't about chasing validation. It's about learning how women really communicate interest beneath the surface, behind the words. When you understand this, you don't need games. You don't need to guess. You move with calm, with clarity. You lead with intention. If you found value in this, subscribe to the channel. Hit that button. It's how we keep building this community of men who choose awareness over impulse and strength over reaction. And if you're ready to go deeper, to train your mindset with others walking the same path, join the Stoic Brotherhood. It's more than content, it's where the transformation starts. Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.